Welcome to room 1420 at the Loews Regency, New York, a 5-star hotel located at 61st and Park Avenue in Manhattan. This is a grand studio room for which I paid a whopping $977 including taxes, and that was for a Tuesday night in the middle of summer. The room is quite spacious, featuring a king-size bed, an almost couch and table, a desk for working, and another desk with a stool for putting on makeup, I suppose. It also has a nicely sized bathroom and a little kitchenette sort of area that we'll take a look at later. On first glance, while I think the decor is a bit all over the place, it has an appearance of quality with marble, dark wood, and leather surfaces. The furniture, while somewhat worn, is in generally good condition, being clean and comfortable enough. The view is nothing to write home about, looking directly into the face of a brick building across 61st Street. The website mentions city view, which I suppose is undeniably true. Moving on, the TV is a little small for the size of the room, but it's right where you'd expect it. And here's the little makeup stool, though confusingly you'll be looking directly at the lamp the way it's set up now. Oh, and here's yet another place to sit. This is the part that made me say, hey, wait a minute. No, not the remote control, though that sucks, but the clock radio. While the interior design of the room is hard to pin down, the chunky and cheap plastic look of this thing pegs it as being firmly from the early 2010s. According to the Q&A on the manufacturer's website, as of 2 years ago, it was already several years old and out of production. Oh, and it only works with iPhones and only iPhones before the 11. And it doesn't have Bluetooth. It's old. Why am I harping on about an alarm clock? Because it got me thinking. If the Regency hasn't even had its clock radios replaced in years, when was the last time they replaced anything? A quick Google search showed that they spent $100 million on an extensive renovation that completed back in January of 2014. And as we'll see, it looks like the room hasn't been touched since. Oh, and last thing I'll say about the clock, it doesn't even work for telling the time. The display was improbably dim. Also, something that's confusing over here, what's the deal with the large empty void under the nightstand? That's not a rhetorical question, I'm genuinely curious. In front of the remote control is a bottle of hand sanitizer, which, while a nice touch in this day and age, does make me wonder how dirty the remote is despite being in a plastic condom. On the other side of the bed is a leather-clad notepad which, calls someone when you open it. I'm happy to see a couple of plugs in the base of each lamp. While ugly, you can't have enough sockets in a hotel room. Though it is strange that there are no USB outlets, given that those were pretty common by 2013 when the renovation was being done. I stayed here on a sweltering summer evening, and happily the AC was effective at cooling the room pretty quickly. It's also nicely dressed up with a wainscoting type detail and a marble-esque top. And yes, you do have full control over the temperature settings. But it's one of those thermostats with a motion sensor, so it turns off if you haven't moved in something like 30 minutes to an hour. Because of that, I woke up sweating more than once. Back on the other side of the room, let's take a look at the offerings in the minibar. The generic hotel branding on the snacks certainly makes for a consistent and inoffensive presentation, but it also raises the question of what you're getting for your money. Genuine M&Ms or some kind of mealy off-brand? And it's not cheap to find out. I'm sorta kidding, as the vague chocolate peanut candies are actually listed as M&Ms on the price list, but personally I prefer either the manufacturer's packaging or clear containers, so I know exactly what I'll be splashing out an absurd $11 or $12 for. And I'd complain about $12 for a liter of Fiji water, but that's downright cheap compared to the Aria in Las Vegas. But oh wait, I looked at all those items before finding the minibar price sheet. They have the strictest policy I've ever seen. Removal of any items will result in a sale posted to your room account. Usually you get a 30 or 60 second grace period to, see what the item is first and or check the ingredients. Oh, and those prices? Yeah, add 24% to all of those because obviously they're going to need to restock them. And of course you'll pay for that necessary function of commerce. Though despite the harsh written policy, I was not charged for any of the items that I removed and put back right away. Also, I was a little disappointed with the alcohol selection, considering this is a 5-star hotel and all. At least offer some Johnny Walker Black or maybe some craft beer. Alright, let's get back to the rest of the room with a quick word about light bulbs. See how the kitchen has a greenish cast on the walls and ceiling, while the room behind it looks pure white? Yeah, that's because they didn't use the same type or color temperature of light bulbs throughout, and though the human eye adjusts for it when walking from space to space, or even from lamp to lamp, it is really noticeable. Of course, I can change my camera settings, and that looks much better. It still doesn't look good in real life when you walk in from the hallway or the main room, though. And it's a pretty dark and dingy effect despite all the lights being on. So anyway, you get a microwave and a mini fridge, as well as a drawer and some cabinets. That's the entirety of the kitchen, which I really can't put enough quotes around. Though the website does say kitchen facilities, I recently stayed at a Holiday Inn Express that also had a microwave and fridge but didn't brag about it. Being a much cheaper hotel, they had in-room coffee on offer, which the Regency seems to have forgotten about, being a 5-star hotel and all. Not fancy enough, I suppose. I can't stress enough how, purely in my opinion, saying this area is a kitchen facility borders on false advertising. It's disingenuous at best. Moving on, the closet is outfitted nicely with everything you'd expect, including high-quality wood hangers, an iron, decent bathrobes, extra bedding, and even umbrellas, which are a real nice touch. The safe, even by the standards of 10 years ago, is quite small. You definitely can't fit even a tiny laptop in there. Across from the closet is the piece of resistance, the bathroom. I'm kidding. First off, it yet again uses different light bulbs in the entryway and room, which also took a long time to warm up. The first time I walked into the bathroom and flipped the switch, I genuinely thought the lights were broken until they reached full glow about a minute later. Alright, let's try this again with different camera settings. I'm just going to come out and say it. Aside from the marble countertops, this is a large, yet 3-star hotel bathroom gussied up with chrome. Dual vanities are definitely nice, though. The products are all from, I guess, Julien Farel, which means nothing to me, but apparently there's a Julien Farel salon, spa, and fitness thing on property. Plus, he appears to be a French guy that exists, and the soap did indeed clean my hands, so I can't fault it. I didn't try the anti-aging skin cream, because I don't want to accidentally Benjamin Button myself. Q-tips and cotton balls are always welcome, though so is mouthwash and even a toothbrush and toothpaste. Not to nitpick, but those are commonly found in the bathrooms of 5-star hotels gratis. One very year 2000 feature of the bathroom is the in-mirror TV, which didn't work. Or at least the remote didn't work. Or it was out of batteries. Not that I was going to use it, and you can't even see it from the toilet, so no biggie. By the way, the only time I've actually seen plastic remote control condoms in person is in one of my own videos. The problem as I see it is that, sure, it protects me from the filthy remote control, or vice versa, but as a guest, I don't know when they last changed that bag, so the bag could be as dirty as an unbagged remote. Plus, it looks tacky. Just clean and sanitize your remotes, hotels. Anyway, here's a hairdryer. Also branded by Mr. Farrell, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's just a rebadged generic hairdryer. If you know one way or the other, please post in the comments. Again, 5-star hotel, but peeling wallpaper and a poorly disguised plumbing access hatch. I also have trouble believing that this flooring was in style in 2013. It's quite a bit dimmer in the toilet/bath area, so let me adjust those camera settings again. You can see it for yourself. It's a bathroom. This part is decidedly unexciting, though it's really obvious that they had to refit the plumbing for the bathtub, couldn't find matching tile, so threw up a big section of solid surface material that doesn't actually match anything. The shower is spacious enough and clean, but especially up close, it's nothing to write home about. More products from Monsieur Farrell in here. There's more evidence of plumbing refits because they threw up some marble-looking stuff around the shower head and valve instead of redoing the subway tile in the whole bathroom. The shower head is adjustable but pretty basic. Water pressure, adequate. I didn't get a good shot of it, but the paint was peeling around the drain in the tub. Yes, I said paint. Rather than replacing their ailing tub, it looks gleaming white because it's been painted. Here's the basic gist of what that looks like, this shot taken from a nearby hotel that did the same thing. I'm really becoming convinced that these bathrooms weren't touched all too much during the 2013 renovation. The toilet paper is real cheap and practically transparent, as you'd unfortunately expect. The flush power is pretty good though, and everyone likes a soft close lid. There's an incredibly ineffective nightlight and a magnifying mirror too. though I do like how they provided outlets on both sides of the vanity. Let's get back to the main room for some detail work. The desk chair is clean and comfortable enough, but has a couple of holes in it. Above the minibar is this little knick-knack box thing. There's absolutely nothing in it, it serves no purpose, and it's missing a segment of mirror. So it just looks broken and kind of forlorn in the space. Though, you could just turn it around, and so it's weird they left the broken side exposed. Now, these are 5-star hotel criticisms, along with this slightly stuck, though impeccably clean drawer. I wouldn't be so picky about a 2 or 3-star property, or if the price point for this room was much, much lower. But these guys get held to a slightly higher standard. When swinging the camera around from the makeup stool, I noticed something. Right next to this lamp is a circuit breaker panel. There's nothing wrong with that in theory, as electricity got electrify, but remember I'm in room 1420? This panel powers the air conditioning for 5 other rooms in addition to my own. I could definitely see a kid fiddling with these switches, as well as an impetuous, dastardly adult. Not me, of course. But regardless, would you want me in control of your AC all night long? I guess a nice feature of the room is the automatic curtains. Well, I say nice, but this control panel looks like it came straight from 1995, and most high-end hotels with automatic curtains have them controlled by a tablet or at least bedside buttons. Okay, I'm nitpicking, and they do work fine. It's just why bother having them mechanized if you have to stand next to them when operating the mechanism? There is a sheer and blackout curtain, as one would expect. But here's a more practical issue. I was in the room for a while and it seemed to be getting warmer despite the AC humming away. The sheer curtain drops down such that it blocks the air conditioning vent, so leave it open or make sure it's pushed well out of the way. Literal side note, the drapes here are purely decorative. Speaking of the alleged 5-star decor, here's the hole they drilled in the desk for the lamp cord. And here's the same at one of the nightstands. The hole is a necessity to route the wiring, sure, but usually you dress it up with a grommet like they did do for this lamp next to the TV. Speaking of which, let's see what's on. The TV is your average hotel mode flat screen with inaccessible HDMI ports that are likely to be disabled anyway. I like to bring my own Roku and/or laptop. It's exactly what you'd expect, only they forgot to put the DVD in the industrial DVD player on channel 4. I'd go through all the channels, but there's such a lag between button presses and channel changes that I gave up. Not the most impressive in-room entertainment system I've seen, not by a long shot. And as I said before, the screen is rather small for the space. Even though the renovations were done in the time of flat widescreen televisions, it looks like the furniture was designed for a square aspect ratio, super shallow tube TV. It just looks strangely out of place in the cabinet. I almost never watch a hotel's TV programming and opt for streaming instead. So of course I got my laptop out and proceeded to connect to the Wi-Fi. Signal strength was good, but an extra $20 per night for higher speed access? Personally, I think that's a cheap shot at business travelers and something that should have been disposed of years ago. If you come across this, always try the complimentary version before splurging for the premium access. In this case, the complimentary connection was capped out at 20 megabits per second, which is more than adequate for streaming full HD video or doing most business tasks over a VPN. I'm an IT person by trade, and trust me that the verbiage here is hogwash, though carefully phrased hogwash. They threw the word optimal at the beginning because, yeah, higher speeds are undeniably more optimal than lower speeds, can't argue with that. But it gives people the impression that they won't be able to do things like stream media, use their corporate VPN, or join a video conference unless they pony up the extra cash. Another minor niggle, well, it's hard to see on camera, but there are water rings all over the marble here. In person, it looks dingy. On camera, it looks fine. The phone over here is cordless and in good condition. The lamp has seen better days, though. I don't think these leather straps are supposed to be flappy like that, because I can see glue residue behind them from when they were probably secured to the wood underneath. I appreciate that they supplied 4 pillows on the bed just for me, because the pillows were all the same super soft floppy types. Personal preference granted, but I like a firmer pillow. I ended up using 3 of them. The mattress was on the firmer side, and I got a good night's sleep when the AC was running. I think the highlight of the decor is this art above the bed. The colors and depth of focus effect are very pleasing, and it's not merely a painting or print. It's got texture in the form of what looks like little plastic beads. It's a huge step above your average hotel-motel art, like what we see above the tub and desk, for example. I'd hesitate to call this room at the Loews Regency run down. That would be unfair. Everything works, it's pretty clean, if dusty in spots, and I didn't have any major problems with the hard product. But I think it's fair to call it run down for a 5-star hotel. I'd be a lot more accommodating of the dings, dents, outmoded technology, outdated bathroom, and misfit lighting if this were a 3-star hotel, or if I hadn't been charged almost $1,000 for a night. As with all my reviews, and if you couldn't tell from the criticisms, this is not sponsored or in any way endorsed by the hotel. I paid for the room out of my own pocket. In fact, I booked through Amex Travel mainly because this was in the Fine Hotels and Resorts collection, and I wanted to take advantage of the guaranteed 4 p.m. late checkout. The Regency was accommodating of that and did offer me all of the appropriate Fine Hotels and Resorts benefits, most of which I didn't use. It's weird they list complimentary Wi-Fi as a benefit, as that's something all guests receive anyway. And of course, you can't use the $100 food and beverage credit on the minibar, so no off-brand snacks for me. The person at the front desk did spend a few minutes searching for a room upgrade, after which he said he couldn't find one, but did mention that he put me in one of their nicer rooms. Whether that was him BSing me or this actually is one of the nicer rooms, I'll never know. All told, I would recommend this room for the comfort and amenities, but only at a lower cost and with muted expectations. If you can score a good price and you think of it in the same class as an older base Marriott or Hilton branded hotel, then you should be satisfied. However, during the same trip into Manhattan, I stayed nearby at the Garden Sonesta ES Suites on 64th near 3rd Avenue. For roughly half the price, it had a full kitchen, separate bedroom, and more square footage in roughly the same neighborhood. It's firmly a 3-star hotel, but if those are the sorts of things you're looking for over and above fanciness, I'd recommend it versus the Regency. If you are looking for fanciness and the best New York hotels have to offer, then I'd recommend the Aman on East 57th near Park if price is no object. Otherwise, keep searching. I know I will, so stay tuned on this channel for more.